When I did the video on firewood facts, I don't know, a week and a half or two ago, I had a lot of people contact me and ask me why I didn't do tree identification to show what the trees that I was talking about actually look like. And so I'm going to start, I don't know if I'll be able to finish this video today, but I'm going to start doing a little bit of tree identification, at least for our area here in South Central Kentucky. I'm sure that trees in your area may be different, they may be the same depending on where you live, but at any rate, I just want to show you a couple of trees and what kind of fire they're good for, or if they're medicinal or edible or what have you. But while I'm here showing you this tree, I want to show you one other thing that's not really a tree, but it was a blessing that God gave to me yesterday when we were looking for property. I actually prayed for a piece of property that had wild raspberries like the farm that I had owned in Adair County before I married Kaylin. And I hadn't found any until yesterday. We were cleaning out this bank here behind the house, and there was just a lot of thorn bushes and just canes of non-bearing junk. And as I was cleaning it out, I found a few red raspberries scattered here and there, so I'm pretty excited about that. So let's get going and we'll see what we can discover. This tree right here behind me, I know it's not showing up on the camera very well, but I'll give a close-up. It's actually a redbud tree. The bark is a little bit smooth, and that's why I didn't do the tree identification video when I did the firewood facts video, because it's a little too early in the spring for the leaves to be on. It's much easier to identify trees with the leaves. However, it is good to know how to identify by the bark, and I don't know every tree by the bark, but I know many of them, and so I'll just share with you what I do know. The redbud tree has kind of a gray, smoothish bark, but it's most noted for its buds. They're actually purple, lavender-looking buds, but they're called redbuds. And these buds are edible, and I'll do a close-up here in just a minute to show you what it actually looks like. So this is the redbud. I don't like to use the redbud for firewood, but I just wanted to show you what it is, and also because the buds are edible. It's a good food source in the springtime. So let's do a close-up on this. Okay, that's the bark of the redbud, and then as we go here, they're just barely beginning to bud out. Oh, I don't know if the camera's going to focus very well, but we'll see. This is one tree that's real easy to identify by the bark. It's very peeling, and it has this greenish yellow background to it. This is the sycamore tree right here. As I said in the firewood facts video, it's really not the best tree for firewood, but you can use it. It's difficult to split. Not as difficult as like a gum tree or something like that. You can split it. These like to grow near water, and so all along our creeks and waterways here on the farm, you'll find these sycamore trees. I don't know if I'll still be recording this when the leaves come out, but if I am, then I can show you. But learning to identify by the bark, this is what the sycamore tree looks like. So it started raining a little bit too much for my cameras. I don't have waterproof cameras, so I thought I would come up here by my little fig tree. This was, I believe my mother got a start off of it from my grandfather's tree in Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. And my mother saved this start for me until we got our farm. And I'm going to be planting this fairly soon, probably here in the next couple of weeks. I think it's doing pretty good. I'm pretty excited about that. But I wanted to show you a resource. Peterson's has a really good tree book, and then I have this one. I think I have the Peterson's somewhere, but I mean I know I do, but I don't know where it's at yet. But I have this one also by Audubon, National Audubon Society. It's a field guide to trees for the eastern region, and you can get one for whatever region you live in. And again, since the trees are not leafing out yet, I'll show you. This is what the leaf of the sycamore tree looks like. You can see it next to the bark there. This particular tree, as you can see, has suffered some serious damage. There was a big branch off of this way that split off. We have it down here. Can't see it. We're going to cut it up and just use it for firewood. I've really never used mulberry for firewood, so I don't know how it's going to behave. But it is a deciduous tree, a hardwood, and so we'll see how it burns. This is actually what's called a paper mulberry, and it does bear fruit according to the man that we purchased the farm from. The berries actually look somewhat like blackberries, and of course, as you may know, any of the dark berries are really, really good for you, high in antioxidants. So the bark, I'll give you a little bit of a close-up of it, and then here let me show you what the leaf looks like in the book here. That's the paper mulberry right there. That's what the leaf looks like. And again, I'm doing this before the leaves come out, so I want to show you, and let me give you a close-up of the bark so you can see better what the bark looks like. Okay, of course you'll see behind it there a great big sycamore tree. Most everybody knows what the dogwood flower looks like. It's the white, four-petal, beautiful flower that is often equated with Easter time. There's the legend that that's the kind of tree that Christ was crucified on. I don't know if that's true or not. But I'll give you a close-up of the bark of the dogwood tree, and I can't really see from here. What happens whenever they get ready to bud out is the buds swell into a really round-looking little button, and then that opens up into the flower. Let me show you from the book what the leaves look like. Okay, that's what the leaf of the flowering dogwood looks like. And again, most everybody knows what the flower looks like, but just in case, I'll show you what the flower looks like too. That's the dogwood flower. And this is a dogwood flower and a few leaves that I pressed as well. I'll be the first to tell you that tree identification based on bark alone is challenging. And even though I know several of the trees, many of the trees in our area, even I'm hard-pressed to identify them just by bark. It's easier for me if I have the leaves as well. And maples like this one, this I believe is a sugar maple, which is one of the most in-demand maples here in Kentucky, and I guess all over the place, is widely used. It's the most common one that's used for maple syrup. A tree like this, or an average size maple, I should say, sugar maple, would put out up to 60 gallons of sap per year. Right over here I see one I want to show you. This right here is a young yellow poplar, or tulip poplar as they call it in this area. It's the nature of the yellow poplar to shed its lower leaves so that you're left with a long, tall, straight trunk with really very little knots or anything like that. That's why I really like poplar as a firewood. It's also really used a lot in this area for lumber, for making pallets and even building barns and stuff like that. Oaks are better for building barns because they're more durable, although the poplar does have quite a bit of durability. But it's a really easy firewood to split, wood to split, because it has such a straight grain. This is a small one. It's a young poplar. I'll show you the leaf, what it looks like. In the springtime, it's called the tulip poplar because the flower that develops on it is a real beautiful orange and yellow little tulip-shaped flower. And I'll see if I can find one in the book and show you. It's a tulip poplar. I just found this little pressed leaf in my tree book. This is a tulip poplar leaf, a young tulip poplar leaf that I pressed probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. Okay, this is what the leaf looks like for the tulip poplar. It kind of just looks like a, I wanted to say mitten, but it's really not a mitten. That's more the sassafras leaf. And I'll see if I can find a sassafras tree. But that's what the leaf looks like, and right here is what the flower looks like. Isn't that pretty? That's why they call it the tulip poplar. The pioneers used to take these long straight logs and hollow them out and make canoes out of them. One of my favorite morning firewoods. Here's an example of what I mean by it's difficult to identify a tree by the bark, because as I passed this tree right here, I thought, I wonder what that is. And then I looked up and I saw this. Don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's a redbud tree. Right here is a wild cherry tree. Now this right here is the crown jewel of furniture wood. It's a lot of the cherry furnitures are made out of the wild cherry tree. You can take the bark and make a cough syrup. You can use the berries. They're edible. You can make like a jam, or even I guess a juice out of it. I don't know, but I know that you can make jam out of it. But it has this blackish grayish bark, and I'll see if I can get a close-up and find a leaf picture for you. Cherry, any fruiting wood is excellent firewood, but I have a hard time using fruiting trees for firewood. Okay, here is what the leaf and the flowers of the black cherry look like. And if we turn over here, right here, that's what the fruit looks like when it's growing. That's the black cherry. And there's a close-up of the bark. Again, it's the grayish, blackish looking bark. In my opinion, this right here is the crown jewel of firewood. This is a shagbark hickory. Any variety of hickory is crown jewel. Of course, red oak, white oak, ash, beech, which I'll show you in just a minute, are excellent firewoods as well. But this one right here I really like. The grain of hickory tends to be fairly straight, so it's not that hard to split. Oaks can be easier to split. The grain tends to be even straighter. But the shagbark is easy to identify, and this is a fairly young one. So this is a beech tree. Beech is a good firewood. I think they're actually related to the oak tree. I don't know if the leaves are showing up in the video or not, but they're often the last leaf to disappear. And actually, the brown leaves will stay on throughout the year until the new leaf buds push off the old leaves. Beech nuts are edible, and it's a little bit more difficult to split than other woods like oak or hickory, but it does make a good firewood. I'll show you what the leaves look like. The fruit looks like when it comes, the beech nut. And they are edible. They don't taste real good, but they're edible. This is what you call a skull tree. This is what you call a hanging on for dear life tree. This is a black walnut tree, and a video of trees in Kentucky would not be complete without videoing the black walnut tree. This is a very common tree in this part of Kentucky, especially Casey County. There's a Mennonite fellow that will take the nuts off of this tree. He'll buy them from you. And I'll show you what the nut looks like, and also the leaves and stuff from the book. This, I'll show you a close-up of this, but you can see the wood of the walnut is very straight grain, and it's a beautiful, rich brown color. Hickory trees, by the way, are in the walnut family. So let me show you what the leaves and the fruit look like of the walnut tree, and they are edible. Black walnuts are very good for you. I think they're supposed to be good for allergies. This is what the fruit looks like when it's green in the shell. And this shell right here, the green shell, is actually, I think it's the male blossoms, and it may be the green shell itself that is used to make a worm medicine to use as for worming. This is what the worming people, This is what the leaf looks like. It's a real pretty leaf on it. And let me show you the wood again. This is the grain of the wood. You can see how straight the grain is. It's a very beautiful, rich, dark color. Excellent firewood. And the nuts, when they dry, they have this outer shell on them, and they will stain everything they come in contact with. And that's a poor example of a nut. It's the only quickest one I could find, but they're all over the ground here. So that's the black walnut. Very important tree in Kentucky. Useful for a lot of different things, including, in this case, fence post. Not sure how this will show up, but I just want to give you an idea of a Kentucky hillside. We don't have a lot of oak left on our property. It was heavily logged before we purchased it. We do have some. Some of them are a little bit difficult to get through too. But here's a hillside, and on this hillside you have maple. This is a different variety of hickory right behind it. Just next to it is another hickory, over right here, I believe you have a white oak. Over here, just a little bit. I'm not sure if I can catch it. You have this small tree in the front, which I'm not entirely sure what it is. I can't see it very well. But the whitish looking one here, right here, that is a white oak, and just to the right of it is a red oak. This is on the neighboring property. You come over here just a little bit, and right here you have a small tree in front, which I think is a sassafras. I'm not positive from here, but just behind it, to the left and behind it, you have a shagbark hickory. Right here in front of me you have a sugar maple, and so you can get an idea of just how many different varieties of trees you can have in one small area here in Kentucky. On the cliff, I'll see if I can catch it, if I can identify it from here. This is actually the neighbor's hillside. Let me see if I can catch this. That right there is a red oak up there on the hillside. Am I getting it good? Right there. That is a red oak. Very excellent firewood. So that's a little bit about trees in Kentucky, and there's a whole lot more. There's so many different kinds of trees, and so many different kinds of oak tree. I could do a video just on different types of oak trees. You got red, white, black, chinkapin, all kind of different oak trees, and we don't have all those varieties on this particular farm. But at any rate, I hope that this little video was helpful, and if you have requests for other videos that my husband and I or Titus can do, just let us know. And that particular species there is called hateful thornbush. I hate those things, but I'm very grateful for trees. See you on the next video.